You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster Joe Benazzi from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from Cboe. The Option Block is brought to you by Cboe. Cboe's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Cboe Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively Cboe. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the Cboe products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back once again. It is Thursday. Time for a little bit of the old OB action. By the way, the final Thursday OB show for the mad year that is 2025. Obviously, the next two are going to be Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So not a monster, not going to make people come in on the holidays when the markets are closed. So this will be the final Thursday show. Might have to get back with the Flowmaster in January, give him some time to mull, and maybe we'll do a top 10 for the year from him or something along those lines. But before we get there, quick reminders here at the top of the show. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the full network, what are you doing? It's been going for almost 19 years now. Get on out there, theoptionsinsider.com or the Options Insider Radio Network, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and make sure you're getting the whole kit and caboodle. And of course, make sure that includes the pro these days, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Awesome pro Q&As, awesome oddities. In fact, yesterday, you got a quintuple palooza in your ear holes on the pro. And guess what? You got a quadruple palooza coming at you today in the pro. Surprise early edition of Options Oddities for you folks coming at you today as well. So I hope you folks are strapped in on the pro. A lot of great content. There's 9 shows in 2 days coming at you. Just in the last 2 days over there on the pro, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Speaking of the Flowmaster, rumor has it he will be joining us in the near future for Vol Deathmatch 2.0, as well as, of course, we have great giveaways. The final pro trading crate of the year, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more as we learn who's joining us on the old program for the final Thursday of 2025. Since I have invoked and or maligned him already, let's go out to the hallowed halls of Cboe East, where we are joined once again by the Flowmaster himself, Mr. Henry Schwartz from Cboe. Mr. Flowmaster, welcome back to the show for the final Thursday edition of 2025, sir. Man, time flies when you're talking options.
Yeah, I can't believe it, but here we are. We're in the home stretch, and I was actually just digging through the data to make a formal prediction of when the 15 billionth contract will trade.
Oh no, yeah,
and it's a little tricky because it looks like it's either going to be Christmas Eve, which is a half day, or the Friday following, which is sure to be a barn burner. My guess right now is it's going to be Christmas Eve, but with a half day and possibly it being really, really quiet, I don't know. But I want to isolate and identify that trade and put it out on social media and try to find the person who traded the 15 billionth contract this year and send them some sort of a door prize.
What if you could isolate it down to the nanosecond and you make sure you are the one, sir? You could be the one who puts up the 15. And even if you're close, even if you're a minute or two off, just say that you are. And then you can put that on your tombstone forever. The 15 billionth contract traded. Then you would cement your title as the Flowmaster, sir. I'm just putting that out there, just a suggestion.
I love, on my tombstone, it'll say first trade in Mag 10, first trade in SPEQX, yes. 15 billionth contract of 2025. You know, that's what I want to be remembered.
All of the OI and the nanos, all the cool things you can put on there.
Nano domination.
The nano dominator, your other nickname here on the
network. Exactly.
All right, a lot of fun to have. He has a nickname known as Uncle Mike. Maybe he has some other fun nicknames he wants to share with us. Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management. Are you two vying for the crown of being the 15 billionth contract of the year, sir?
That'd be kind of fun if I could get that. I never thought of that. It's kind of like how they have at McDonald's all the billions and billions of people served. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of exciting. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, OCC should put a little shingle on the front of their website. 15 billion contracts served. There we go. Free fries for everybody. As we keep on rolling, listeners, right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. And it seemed like after a lot of red on the screen for the last few sessions, a lot of consternation, a lot of Sturm und Drang on the part of Uncle Mike and his cabal out there. Why can't we bid this thing into the green again, breaking back through 6,800 in the wrong direction, threatening 6,700 in the wrong direction? Uncle Mike must have really been sweating at that point there. He said, I'm keep hitting buy. Why isn't this working? But after that, we got some CPI data. Better late than never, I suppose, out there. And surprise, surprise, it's a little less hot than anticipated. So the markets got the bit in their teeth today on the backs of that. Also, some decent numbers coming out of Micron, maybe showing that the tech wreck isn't on, at least for right now. Of course, we'll see as the day progresses out here. The worm turning maybe a little bit again. We were up more, coming back a little bit now, up a little over 1% in the S&P. The Dow up 0.4%. NASDAQ up 1.75%. So still looking pretty robust out there. Of course, the NASDAQ has been getting shellacked for the better part of the last week out there as we're seeing this aggressive potential rotation out of AI. And it's hard to say that because people are still long a boatload of AI, but maybe taking a little bit off the top out there. And we were not that long before showtime, listeners. We had pretty much given up all of the gains we got on Monday on the VIX cash with the sell-off. We got up about 16.75 on the showtime. We were back down to a 16 even right as we were kicking off the show. And just in the last few minutes heading into the start of the show, we have seen, again, the rally start to abate somewhat, and VIX cash start to get a little bit of juice back. So actually, as we're kicking off the show now, VIX cash is hanging out at about a 16.65. So gaining back nearly 0.75 of a point. It's only down about 1/10 of a point now from where it was on the Monday show. So let's re-rack VVIX as well while we're at it, shall we? VVIX at about a 96. That puts it down 4 points, was at a 95 right before the start of the show as well. So vol was looking like it was going to the proverbial woodshed, now starting to firm up a little bit again. One of the reasons why we've been saying here for a little while, we certainly said it on Vol Views last week, again on the Option Block show on Monday, puts are starting to feel, at least for right now in VIX land, kind of like the calls have done for the better part of the last few years, which is when you get the move in your favor, you have to monetize at least some of it pretty quickly, because At least for right now, we've seen multiple examples just in the last few weeks of puts looking pretty good, and then, oh, wait, they're not. Today, yet another example of that. So if you're waiting to monetize your puts, the Rock Lobster was just lamenting this on the Monday show, saying that's one of the things he regrets most about this year is just waiting to pull the trigger on his VIX puts, and it ended up a lot of them going the way of the dodo as a result. So don't be that person. If you're sitting on some gains out there, and to the downside especially these days, make sure you're at least monetizing some of it. Not saying even take all of it off, but take some of it off so at least you're sitting a little bit prettier there on the trade itself. Let's go out now to the hallowed halls of Cboe East. Mr. Flowmaster, sir, I'm looking forward in early 2026 to your grand look back. Maybe we'll do a whole show. The Flowmaster breaks down all the flow, every single trade from 2025. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, sir, what is catching your eye out there in the market today and indeed this week?
Well, we've had some volatility. I mean, it's pretty interesting, right? To see, yesterday we sold off more than 1% in the big indexes, and as you said, Nasdaq and the Mag 10 specifically, they've been smacked a little bit. And today we have one heck of a bounce back. I mean, we are, as you said, we're off of kind of the highs, but to see SPX up over 100 points and the Dow up, 400, 500, and then we really shed a bunch without any real news. I watched the futures go from 68.70 down to 68.15, and it's possible I was in there scalping a few and trying not to get my head blown off. And now we're back up at like 68.50. So, SPX up 70 handles. And, as you said, VIX 16.5, not quite down the amount that it was up yesterday, but it's, I guess we're probably getting into a period that's a little less liquid. Volume has definitely tailed off. We're still average. We're still getting some 60, 65 million contract days, but it is slipping back a little bit today. Today we could hit 68.5 million, just because we're getting some nice big swings. But we did have like a couple days closer to 50 million contracts this month. So it's an interesting one. I mean, there's lots of news, right? We had the headlines about changing the schedule for cannabis. That got the weed names to kind of catch fire on I think that was Monday. Just a lot. There actually is a lot happening. I think the liquidity is a little bit thin, which is why we're getting some big moves. And it's kind of it's fun times kind of from the trading side. I don't know. It's just kind of it's more of what we've seen all year, right? There's just a lot happening, and kind of all segments are pretty busy. And we got some good story stocks moving. I don't know. Today we got DJT up 30% on news that they're gonna merge with some fusion company. So that's an interesting. But that's a lot happening. But in the end, where we are now, yesterday was a little scary, just considering we've had. We're heading into year end. We're up 15% or so. Yesterday we got a 1% sell off, and today we're bouncing right back.
Look at you slinging intraday futures over there. You don't have enough on your plate, sir. You got to babysit your intraday futures margin now, too. It's slinging fast and furious, the Flowmaster over there. Mr. Uncle Mike, are you slinging any intraday futures fast and furious? And what's catching your eye? What were you thinking when we had a little bit of red on the screen? Were you really fast and furious sending the heated emails to your fellow Cabal members? And are you happy today that we're back in the green, at least for right now, sir?
Definitely happy we're back in the green, of course. But it was really nice of the market to kind of come down a little bit yesterday and not fully be blasting super high early this morning, if you will. It was definitely up earlier, but had a couple opportunities to roll some covered calls and get out of some short calls for the end of the month. So that was kind of nice, I guess, that it did that. So anyway, with that, not doing any intraday stuff, if you will. But today is just a day to add a little bit to what the Flowmaster said. It kind of feels normal again. We have technology going up like it is. Just looking at the sectors, XLK is up over 2% on the day. Consumer discretionary is up just under 2% on the day. So that's definitely what's driving the market at this stage. So we have that. What's interesting to me, though, is that I would have figured that if you were to have an up day like this, where Microsoft is also up over 2% on the day, I would have guessed Apple would have joined in on this one. But Apple is not. Apple's only up like 0.14% or 41 cents on the day today. So that was something that actually was a little bit of a surprise to me, not seeing Apple going up to the heights with which it has been. So technology is moving this thing today. The other thing that kind of makes things feel normal, we have Palantir up over 5% on the day, NVIDIA up 2.5%. So those are the names. Silver, SLV was above 60 yesterday. So continues to go higher, but pulling back a little bit today, down 1.7% on the day today, which is really not that big of a deal considering how high it's gone up. But silver is definitely something to continue to watch, that's for sure. But got to be honest, I'm continuing to stay on the sidelines. I think it's too high personally, but that's just me. And then getting a little bit of an uptick in the bond world, but that's what I'm seeing today.
Uncle Mike, I've been talking a lot of silver on the network lately. Everyone's coming on every show, and all they want to talk is your beloved silver. So I feel like I have a bunch of Uncle Mikes on my network these days, just talking up silver like crazy. Yet another new all-time high. Yesterday, I believe it was $65, $66, somewhere in that range. It seems like just yesterday we were talking about verticals around the 40 handle and saying maybe those are a little rich. And now here we are, $65, Uncle Mike. Can you believe it?
I cannot. It's something that definitely surprised me. I figured maybe the high, like what I've been studying with this run for like 10 years is that when we get to the 40s, I want out. And thinking maybe it could run up to the high 40s. It would come like a thief in the night. But the thief has definitely come. It came like a thief in the night, like I figured it would. It's just that the thief is stealing more things than I thought he would.
Yeah, the thief's just camping out in your house. He's not leaving.
No.
He's taking everything.
I figured he'd get what he needed to get when it was in maybe the high 40s, but he's not leaving. He's holding me hostage.
The thief is staying for breakfast and lunch and maybe a little bit of dinner. Maybe this is a sign of the times as well, Mr. Uncle Mike. I was saying this on our future show yesterday. You will appreciate this. Usually this time of year, you go into your holiday parties and people, know what I do, so they'll come up and they'll want to talk markets with me. And usually lately, last few years, certainly it's been, hot, meme YOLO stocks or it's crypto. These days, people want to talk metals, which I can't ever recall in the long history that I've been doing this, sir, that anyone has come up to approached me and said, let's talk precious metals. So, yeah, maybe that's a sign, sir. We always used to say that, when the cabbies and the barbers start talking to you about the market or a stock, it's time to get out. Now, when the holiday party chatter turns to silver, Uncle Mike, I don't know. Is that a sign? What do you think?
My sign came earlier, but now that we have this sign, well, maybe I should go short silver.
You should get. That's really the sign you need to get short, sir. That's what I'm telling you. Get short before the end of the show, and let us know. Let us know your strike, so we can all piggyback off you. All right.
There you go.
Let's keep rolling out here to the rest of the market. It's kind of a hot day. Started off strong out of the gate. Now we said maybe we're seeing a little bit of the worm turning out there. That little bit of whipsaw action usually leads to a little bit of flow. But as the Flowmaster did say, we are in that usually seasonally quiet time of year, mid to late December now, closing in on the holidays, exactly a week until Christmas, which is absolutely wild. So usually not exactly a banger time for volume, and yet we're seeing this December, unlike many other recent Decembers out there. We have dust-ups with the Fed. We have dust-ups with Venezuela. We have just all sorts of consternation about the markets out there. A lot of things going on to maybe keep things a little bit spicier, a little bit more elevated than they have been in the past. And we're seeing over 500,000 contracts on the tape yet again. In VIX as of right now, 516,000 contracts. Now that's in line. The ADV is still north of 1 million contracts. So 516 is pretty much right what you would expect. But then again, that 1 million contracts in VIX is also just stunning for this time of year. And we're talking normally this time of year, you should be hanging out 500, 650, somewhere in that ballpark for VIX ADV, not 1 million contracts a day. So the fact that VIX remains that spicy overall still shows you that the game is afoot out there in the markets. If you're wondering what is afoot, In VIX land right now, the hot option in VIX land today, 107,000 of the Jan 21s. Kind of a funky one, $1.25. Looks like also 100,000 of the Jan 21 halves have also gone up for about $1.17. So it could be, they're both opening, so it's not a roll. Of course, why would you roll for half a strike, even though we have seen weirder things? Also, why would you put on a vertical for half a strike? So there's some funkiness afoot out there. They could be trying to do splits or something along those lines. Either way, those are your two big dogs in VIX land today. Kind of weird prints. Maybe we'll put a little fun flash poll out there to see what you folks think. Ah, yes, it is already live. 100,000 of the Jan 21s expiring on the 21st for $1.25. Are you a buyer or sold to you right now? Our audience, once again, can't make up their mind. Exactly 50% each. This just went live a few minutes ago, so we'll come back and check in on it a little bit later in the show, listeners. The rest of the VIX top 5, not that active. Obviously, you got 200,000+ contracts just in those first two, so the rest is going to be a little bit quieter. About 23,000 of the Jan 20s for number 3, 14,000 of the 18 halves for number 4, and 14,000 as well of the 18 half puts. So it looks like we got a little bit of a combo or perhaps a straddle going up there. SPY looking really robust right now. 8.25 million contracts already. So again, this roaring out of the gate and then coming back to earth a little bit, obviously accreting to a heck of a lot of volume in SPY right now. The ADV is 10.4 million. This rate, we might hit that by the end of the show. This is a wild day out here in SPY land. Let's do our usual analysis, listener. SPY loves itself some 0-day contracts, and it does, but not entirely today. I see 2 contracts that have the temerity, the gall, to not expire today, listeners. That is 150,000 of the Feb 525 puts. If you're wondering, those are going for 90 cents if you're a seller of those. And then also we've got the 680 calls expiring tomorrow. 113,000 of those have traded for about $1.28. But that's it. Everything else is going the way of the dodo today. The hot option in SPY land right now, 432,000 of these 680s. Again, not surprising, a psychologically important level. Right now, average price for those about 72 cents. So gun to your head, are you buying or selling those bad boys right now as we vacillate all over the place, listeners? The S, similar paper, 3.25 million contracts. So the S looking spicy out there today as well. The ADV is 4.4 million. So probably going to hit that today unless the second half of the session really falls out of bed. Let's be even, Steven. Let's run the same analysis for the SPX. And lo and behold, 20 for 20 in our top 10, all going the way of the dodo today. Once again, the 6,800s dominating the tape in the SPX as well. About 90,000 of those have changed hands so far. Average price for those, $7.75. So once again, we're going to close above 6,800, listeners? Or are you saying sold to you? Small caps, 1.06 million. So about average paper out there. The ADV is closing in on 2 million contracts. By the way, small caps up nearly a full percent right now, about 0.97%. And let's go out to the Qs as well. Almost 4.75 million contracts on the tape in the Qs right now, which again, just absolutely wild. The ADV is 5.75 million. So again, they might hit that by the end of the show as well. Oh, by the way, I'm talking about all this flow out here. I did neglect to mention that we are going ex-div in the Qs and in SPY as well. So that is probably why we're seeing a little bit of extra flow out there this time of the year. So something else to bear in mind. We usually see a little bit of extra action when they are going ex-div. So that also probably accounting for why we're so hot out of the gate in SPY and the Qs right now. Are we hot out of the gate on the single name equity option front? The answer is we are flirting with respectability. 380,000 contracts. That's above our threshold of 350, where we say, okay, it's a decent day. It's respectable. That gets us to our old pal Microsoft. Microsoft gaining back some of its lost ground over the past week. They're up about $10.50 or 2.25%, trading $486.60 right now. That puts them up about almost $7 over the past 5 days as well, recovering from their low around $471 on Tuesday out there. So Microsoft, number 10, 380,000 contracts on the tape. If you like M tech names, how about Meta? Number 9, 666.30, the number of the beast for Meta. How appropriate. Up 17.5 bucks today, or about 2.7%. Over the past 5 days, they're back up about 17 handles today. So today's move pretty much puts them green for the week now. They did get as low as, looks like about 640, 641 in that ballpark. That was last Friday, actually, out there. So recovering a bit out there. In Meadowland, good for number 9, 387,000 contracts on the tape. Then if you like A-Tech names, man, we got you covered today. Number 8, AVGO. They're going back up. AVGO, right around 330, up about $4 or a little over 1%. Good for number 8 today, 388,000 contracts on the tape. Number 7, keeping it in A-Tech names, it's AMD. They got clobbered below the par strike just yesterday, rallying back above it today, trading a little bit shy of 203, up $4 and about 70 odd cents right now, or about 2.3%. Good for number 7, AMD, 431,000 contracts on the tape. And keeping the A-Tech train alive, number 6, the Amazonians, 226.91, up about 560 or about 2.5%. Good for 520,000 contracts. And the number 6 spot. We're not done with A-Tech names yet. We're going to take a little pause as we head on out to Uncle Mike's favorite name. Forget about silver. He loves this one the most, he told me before the show. It's Palantir. 187 exactly, up 9 3/4 or about 5.5%. So looks like a rare straight up day for Palantir. We're used to them whipsawing all over the place. At least for right now, hot out of the gate and haven't looked back, but we'll see if the second half of the session can keep that up. Either way, Palantir, number 5, 561 on the tape for them. Number 4, going out to Micron. They are one of the other bright spots in the market that's kind of turning things around a little bit today after a bit of a tech wreck out there for the last few weeks. A lot of earnings underperforming, underwhelming the street. Micron comes out and does all right. 257.5 is where they're trading right now, up about 31 1/3 or nearly 14%. So maybe a little better than all right out there in Micron land. But either way, enough to, at least for now, allay some of the concerns going on the tech side out here. Number 4, Micron, 576. It's also interesting we're all the way up at number 4 and we're only at 576,000. So again, kind of a light day overall, except for our top couple, which we'll get to in a second. Number 3, back to the A-Tech names. It's the fruit company, Apple, number 3, 652,000. That's the lightest we've seen number 3 in quite some time. 272 1/3 is where Apple is today, up about a little over, actually just ticking again right now. 272, 65 right now, up about 80 cents or about 1/3%. So not quite feeling as robust. That said, it did sell off today to, looks like around 268, 267 in the early session. So interesting prints out there before rallying again. So it's had a little bit of intraday action already. Then we keep climbing to number 2. This has been the case all week. If you've been listening to the Hot Options Report, you've been hearing this. Tesla has been kicking NVIDIA to the curb all week long. That continues today. NVIDIA number 2, 1.9 million contracts. NVIDIA trading right now right around 175, up about $4 or 2.3%. So gaining back some of what it's lost. But unlike some of these other names, it is still off over the past week exactly $6 or about 3.3%. So they have really come for NVIDIA over the last few weeks. It got down to about 171, looks like yesterday was kind of the nadir for the last week and change. Of course, the high was about right around 212. So NVIDIA, the vanguard for AI. When people are fading AI a little bit, they're going to come for NVIDIA. And they have over the past week. And then number 1, this one's been all over the place this week. If you've been listening to the Hot Options Report, you know these Tesla pars, not the 400s, but the 500s have been lighting it up all week long. It's been wild to see this strike. And then yesterday, it seemed like that strike was going to die. He got down to, looks like it was around 466, I believe, yesterday is where it closed. And there were still the pars lighting it up yesterday, but they seem like a distant memory. Today, though, Tesla saying, hold my bear, kid, 488.60, up another 21 1/3 or 4.5%. They are really working hard at Tesla to try to shift that narrative away from EVs, which I think it's fair to say is somewhat flagging right now, and towards the sexy stuff of, AI and robotaxis and all that stuff. And we're seeing the stock reflect that with the ebbs and flows day to day. But Tesla pars, Tesla 500s, and they were not giving these away earlier this week. They definitely have a better shot today than they did yesterday. Are you down for a little Tesla par action, listeners? I guess we'll have to find out later today on the Hot Options Report whether they're lighting it up. Right now, 2.25 million contracts. So Tesla bringing the heat. That's already more than a day's worth of volume. So this has been one of the wilder weeks in Tesla in quite some time. So interesting stuff out here. We'll see if these powers can make it again. Yet another reason why you should be subscribed to the full network, listeners. You get the hot options report after the closing bell every day. And then going out to earnings front, it's kind of the tail end of the season, but we still had some big names popping off. I did mention Micron already. Today, no slouch either. The Meatball's favorite, Darden Restaurants, Nike, FedEx, KB Homes, BlackBerry for whatever they are these days. I think they're mostly just licensing that name. And then Friday, Carnival and Conagra. We had Lennar, more home builders on Tuesday. So still a decently hot week, given the fact that we are kind of coming up to the tail end of the year here. We talked about Micron, don't need to belabor it, but they were pricing in about 9.4%. They moved 12% by the time we did this report this morning. They're up nearly 14% now. So go figure, premium buyers doing pretty good out there. Let's go out to really quickly Darden Restaurants as well. They were today before the bell. They were pricing in 5.5%. Get this, listeners. They delivered 1.6% as of this report this morning. And as of right now, they're only up 0.8%. So premium sellers unite on that one. My goodness. I guess there is literally no volatility to be had in Olive Garden and all the other restaurants that they own out there. No pizza and breadstick vol this quarter. Wow, that's a vol annihilation there. We have, luckily for you folks, all that stuff and a bunch more. Really quickly, Nike popping off after the bell. Let's check in with them. Been a while since we've checked in with active wear and footwear out there. Nike, when we ran this report this morning, $65.70. They were pricing in $4.82. In the past, they moved $5.43. So a little bit off the top for Nike. Is that merited, or do you think that's a little bit too much? Let's go out to FedEx as well. They're today after the bell. They were at $2.8225 when we ran this report. They were pricing in $18.41. In the past, they moved about $18.79. So not a huge differential there, but we'll keep an eye on those after the bell. And of course, the season hanging out right now, 109%, with a lot of seasonally appropriate red and green all over this chart, listeners. So you should check it out for yourselves. TheOptionsInsider.com is the place to go to learn more. But I know you've all been waiting for the final Flowmaster check-in for 2025. You know it's going to be a banger, so let's get there now. A little bit of the old Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by TheOptionsInsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
Everybody, let's get weird, let's get wild, maybe let's say get a little bit dubious as we kick things off in the Odd Block right now. Going out to the land of DJT. We don't talk about this one a lot for a variety of reasons. There isn't a ton of paper that catches our eye. We talked about a few trades out here. Also, whenever you talk about this name, pro or con, doesn't matter. It gets people all fired up. We'll try to remove the political component whenever possible, even though it's very difficult with a name that bears the name of the administration and the president, and also making moves like today. 1463 is where DJT is trading, up about a little over $4 or nearly 40%. That's reversing their massive decline on the year. They were off until today. They were off. Well, even with today's move, they're still off almost $21 or 58%. It's been just a pure annihilation. I mean, go figure. This name doesn't really make any money. It's really just the ecosystem around Trump. It tends to move with his social media and his tweets. That isn't that sustainable over the long term. So they're merging today with a fusion energy company, $6 billion deal. You put aside the arguments whether it's appropriate that a company very close to the administration is putting together deals with companies that are obviously seeking administration approval. All that stuff aside, it is popping the stock out there today, and a lot going on as a result. Mr. Flowmaster, you've been watching this for a while, sir. What's been catching your eye? Did you catch any skullduggery in the land of DJT, sir?
Well, I agree with you. This is when you I guess you want to be a little careful as you talk about it, but Yeah, I saw the headlines this morning. It's up 40% now. I didn't even know that fusion had been solved, but whatever. They're the company that I know they run Truth Social, and they also have some crypto angle, and now they're gonna be part of some fusion company. But whenever we see a big move, I love to go and look at kind of like, oh well, what trades were there in the last few days, and where's the open interest? And I did kind of spot a few things in DJT options that I think are a little bit odd, possibly a little bit funky. Basically, it isn't the most active, and it had its period where I think around election time it ran from SPAC level, right, like $10 up to like 40, and was all over the place for a little while and was really active. But lately, the average daily volume's been about 30,000 contracts. Yesterday was actually not a super busy day, but it did kind of stand out in that 11,000 calls traded against 4,000 puts. And then in Trade Alert, if I look at the biggest open interest changes, what really did jump out at me was that it was basically 1,500 of the March 11 calls were opened, 1,100 of the Dece 11 calls, those expire tomorrow, those were opened, and then some Dece 26 12 calls, 1,000 of those. So I went and looked at the actual trades, and I'm able to confirm that using the Cboe open close data, that these were customer buyers. And so the largest one was the March 11 calls. So about 1,500 of those were bought by a customer for $1. They're trading at $4 today. So very nice timing. Now those are Marches, so maybe you could say, maybe they just kind of had some faith that this stock in the whatever the environment that we're in is going to do well, and then had a little upside to it, especially after, as you said, it's gotten kind of pummeled back down. The other one that really does stand out and is I think a little bit more interesting is the Dece 11 calls that expire tomorrow, and that was a buyer of 1,000 for 20 cents. And stock was 1086. It was early in the day. It was just at 9:35 in the morning. Those are trading close to $3 as well.
Not a bad as the kids say.
That is not a bad way to turn $30,000 into $300,000 overnight. Whether they were lucky or well informed, my guess is that nobody's going to go after them because. Not just because the symbol is associated with the president, but I think that also the SEC tends to prioritize kind of $1 million winners over things that are just a few $100,000. The last strike that did see some pretty interesting open interest changes was the 12 calls in December of 2026 on December 26th. So the ones for the Friday after the Christmas holiday, that was actually a seller of 1,000. So, and those they only got 7 cents for, and those also are close to $3 because they're now deep in the money. So that one, it's possible that this call buyer was kind of putting on some sort of a little diagonal, but it's when we see a big move on some sort of a surprise catalyst, and there is that option flow. Even though I said it's not extremely heavy, it was pretty directional and pretty clearly. Looking at the numbers, they made some pretty outstanding returns. So that's an odd block for sure.
I'm looking at the Dece 11s right now. They have traded over 4,000 times today. So if they bought them yesterday, they're getting out for prices between 260 and looks like 320, Mr. Flowmaster. So. Yeah. Hard to argue it was a long-term buy and hold for a day. Mm-hmm. Might be one you want to run up the flagpole to Cboe Market Reg, see what they think out there. I know, again, it's not $1 million, but it is definitely a sexy one. You certainly can't argue with that out there. What do you think, listeners? You think there was some skullduggery afoot? How dare we imply information leakage around a name like this, Mr. Flo? I've never seen such a thing out here before. But yeah, interesting stuff out here, listeners. Certainly, I think, to put it mildly, some well-timed flow. Round 1,000 lot for 20 cents, just rolling the bones, coming into Thursday. Interesting stuff out there. Might be a fun little little flash pull on those bad boys. You think there was some skullduggery afoot. Let's keep going, though. Let's keep going out to a name that we have never talked about before on the network. So always fun when the Flowmaster comes armed with some newcomers for us. This is Leslie's Inc. Maybe I don't know his name because I don't have a pool. Swimming pool supplies and related products. So there we go. Leslie's Inc. Ticker symbol LESL. LESL. Trading $2.05, up about 7 cents today. So a decent day, not exactly a banger, but on the year, I think the technical term is holy crap. They have come for Leslie. It's trading $2 now, listeners. It was $43 exactly a year ago. So it has sold off $41. 95%, listeners. So spoiler alert, not a great year for Leslie's Inc. Leslie's Swimming and Pool Supplies. My goodness, what a value destruction. This chart looks like a chart of UVIX, Mr. Flowmaster, something like that. Wow, this is impressive. What did you spot out here, sir? Is somebody swinging for some upside, or are they trying to bury the dead here? So what are they up to?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one, and it happened while we were while we were recording. So just about 20 minutes ago, with the stock trading 206, but it, as you said, it's kind of it's such a low dollar stock, and it's really not the most active. You got to be a little careful with what you're talking about the stock price. I mean, it only trades 200,000 shares a day. Right now, I show it 204 at 206. So. But there's a standout trade, which is a buyer paying 20 cents for 1,325 of the Jan 2.5 calls, and those are opening. And the average daily call volume is only 186 contracts. Basically, that represents 130,000 shares, which is half the daily trading volume. So it's significant. I don't know anything about the company. I did just buy a little bit of stock. I don't want to buy the options because it's such a low dollar name. But you think about all the conversations we had with the Viceroy, Alex Jacobson, about kind of these super low price stocks. The stock itself is basically an option because it can only go to zero, but the upside is technically infinite. So. I don't know if there could be something coming, but for me, it's for $2, it's worth a little bit of a shot for small position, and it has the options are really. I'm looking at them right now. I mean, they're the quotes are pretty wide. There's really nothing you could trade. It's not like you can turn it into a buy ride or something just because the things are a little too wide. But this is an interesting one. I was on the radar, and now I own a little bit of it.
There you go, listeners. Are you down for a little bit of? Are you down for a little bit of Leslie's pools? I guess we will find out, listener. Let's find out really quickly too. Let's pay off a weird one that we talked about on the show here with the Flowmaster back on August 18th. It was the August 18th show, listeners. A lot of fun has happened on this name since we last talked about it, including they've changed their ticker. So that's always fun. Makes it so easy to look up what's going on out here. All right, here we go. Yeah, this was when we talked about it on the show back on August 18th. This was Immunoprecise Antibodies Limited, ticker symbol IPA. If you're looking for it now and you can't find it, it's because they changed their ticker about a month after we talked about it, and they now are known as MindWalk Holdings Corp. Ticker symbol HYFT, HYFT. So that just adds to the fun of this name, listeners. It hasn't really changed the trajectory of the stock, though. It's been a kind of a tale of two tapes. A year ago was 43 cents. Trading $1.60 right now. So from that perspective, you're like, oh, not a bad year. But they did get all the way up to $3.25 on August 22nd, the most diabolical day of the year, listeners. And then selling off again right after that. When we talked about them on August 18th, right before that, so you're talking, almost a week before that apex in the stock. They were trading $2.50. At the time, it was a 52-week high of $2.54. And somebody was really feeling it. Somebody was feeling the SEP 2/2 for 55 cents. They came in and the market was 20 cents at 55 cents, listeners. So they had to reach for these, but they did. They said, I will pay 55 cents, 3,769 times. Also, they got earnings in that time, which is interesting. They changed their name before their earnings announcement. That's kind of weird. A couple of weeks before then. They had earnings on September 16th. The stock right now, $1.59, obviously, $1.60. So clearly earnings maybe not lighting the world on fire. And that was the case when the stock went out on expiration a few days after earnings. The stock closed at $1.88. So by my math, that is below the 2.5 strike. Looks like these calls were all still open as well, listeners. They had a brief moment if they wanted to at least try to scratch these, but they obviously didn't take it. They ended up riding them to oblivion. They ended up dropping almost $210,000 on everyone's favorite, now gone the way of the dodo ticker, IPA. I guess they're making that open for a brewing company, probably. Mr. Flowmaster, what are your thoughts on this wild name, wild ticker switch, and all that to end up just losing some money, sir?
I do. I love the old ticker. I don't. It's funny when they do a name change, a symbol change. Depending on how the data systems are architected, it can be real messy, right? Because you can lose the trade, or you can lose the history unless you have a translation table, and so it can be challenging for people to kind of keep a handle on what's going on. I guess, we were just talking about Leslie, a sub or barely $2 stock. So, these cheapo stocks, they obviously, they definitely catch people's attention every once in a while. Maybe somebody's hoping or looking for some sort of meme resurgence kind of thing. But, I think in most cases, though, nothing really happens. And, people just kind of web themselves around a little bit. So, in this case, they were not successful. Maybe, the fact is, the leverage that you get and kind of that convex asymmetric payout that you get with the call position, it really does fit the investment goals of a lot of people, professionals and self-directed retail. So I'm not sure. This one, it looks like it just, they didn't get it, but who knows? Maybe they, were punting around in some of the other ones like Open Door and, some of the other kind of below $5 stocks.
All right, let's punt around with a little bit of your mail. It is time for the mail block.
It's time to take your seat on the all-star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the Mail Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Mail Block, the portion of the show where you folks take the reins, your questions, your comments, where we also shine a light back on you. Well, let's check in with that poll we posted at the start of the show. We talked about the Jan 21s and VIX, $1.25. Right now, 3/4 of you, 75%, are saying sold to you. Only 25% want to pay $1.25. Get over there. That'll be running through when the podcast goes out later today, but that's just a flash poll. That won't be running the rest of the week. What will be running the rest of the week are our actual questions of the week. Uncle Mike, our question of the week this week very much concerns you. We said, hey, silver is on a historic run this year. Again, maybe that's another indicator. When's the last time we had a question of the week about silver? Oh, I don't know, never. So that's another indicator. When silver makes it onto our question of the week, maybe it's hit top-heavy status. But we ask you folks, can it continue in 2026? Quite simply, if you have to buy an at-the-money put or call in SLV expiring at the end of the year. So yes, you have to buy it and hold it throughout the year. Which way are you going, Uncle Mike? You going put, you going call, or are you out on metals entirely? And then which way is our audience going?
This is like painful for me to say here, just from all the years on the show that I've been just Mr. Silver. But if I had to pick between those three, I am out on metals, but I think I'd go with the put.
Wow, Uncle Mike fading his beloved silver. Mr. Flowmaster, do you have a vote here? Which way do you think our audience is going in silver, sir? They buying the put, they buying the call, or are they out on metals?
I think they're buying the call. I think that we have had kind of a mind-blowing move in the metals this year, but at the same time, I think our community likes to ride that momentum, so I think they want the calls, not the puts.
Oh, if it's them, I think it's the call. Me, it's the put.
You are correct on the community. They are nearly half of them, 47.8%, want to buy that call. 34.8% right now want to dig to the dark side with that put, and then 17.4% say, I'm good. I'm out on the metals. This will be running through the end of the day tomorrow, so get in there at options and make your voice heard. Meanwhile, we're going to get into the final Thursday around the block for the year.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we do just that. We go around the block and see what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of this week. For Uncle Mike, he could look ahead into the weekend. For the Flowmaster, since he'll be off for Christmas and for New Year's, lucky guy that he is. If he wants to look ahead a little farther into the start of next year, he can. Maybe Mr. Flowmaster, we'll start with you because you have a longer period to hypothesize upon, sir.
Well, I will be watching the kind of just the price action into year end. I mean, probably going to be quiet, but then when everybody says it's going to be quiet is when we sometimes get some fireworks. So, the Mag 10, I think Cboe kind of nailed the timing to get this Mag 10, cash settled index options listed. It's up 2.5% today. So, big, a bigger move than we're seeing in NASDAQ or SPX. In fact, it's up more than twice the move in SPX, and it's a fun index. So I've traded it. I actually got was in and out, and I still have a little position left. And really I think just kind of watching the motion into year end. Especially like I said, you can be a little careful when we know kind of half of the industry is probably off for the next week. Strange things can happen and people can get surprised. So I'd be a little careful out there, but it also means there could be some great opportunities.
And should we stay glued to your Twitter for that 15 billion contract announcement? How are you going to get this out to us, sir?
Yes. Option alert on X is where I will put it out. And I'll make sure that I tag you in there too. And maybe I'll get something posted on LinkedIn today about my predictions.
And even if you aren't the 15 billionth contract, you should say that you are, sir. I think we would all give you a little bit of wiggle room there. Say, I, the Flowmaster, have traded the 15 billionth contract.
Do my best.
By the way, if I had said that to you really back 2019, 2020, when we were doing almost a third of this volume, we'd be at 15 billion contracts by the end of 2025. How quickly would you have laughed me out of the room, sir?
I would have said, yeah, you wish. There's not enough people on the earth to trade options.
Exactly. You would have said, what are you taking? Can I have some of that? Because it seems that insane. So if you're wondering why we harp on this volume all the time, listeners, because it's absolutely wild. But I digress. Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on until we do one more trivia battle just for the record books on Monday, sir?
Oh, we're not going to have the show on the 29th?
Oh, yes, we have two more. Okay, two more trivia battles. There we go. Two more trivia battles.
Got it. Just making sure, because we're all going triple or nothing on Monday and the next Monday. So anyway, I agree with Henry in that it's probably not going to be much movement, but you got to be careful because that means it could be a lot of movement. In my 20 years or so of following markets, this is usually kind of a downtime and not a lot happening, but you can never, woe to the complacent, and just got to keep being careful and watching what you're doing. And tweets can change a lot of things. So I'm keeping an eye on everything that I can, but not expecting a lot of movement.
That's when they surprise you, listeners. When you're expecting nothing, you're sitting there sipping your eggnog. Bam! That's when the tweet comes, listeners. That music means the end of the show has come. If you're hanging out in the pro, your day is just getting started. Man, I hope my voice holds up. 5 shows yesterday for you folks, 4 coming at you today, including TWIFO. No rest for the wicked, no waiting for you folks. Coming back immediately after the show to talk some futures options, so join us for that fun. If you're hanging out in the pro, just hang out. We'll be back instantaneously in your ear holes. And then, you know what? We keep the party rolling after that, immediately rolling in to an early edition of Options Oddities, because we like you folks. Spoiler alert, we will be talking some more DJT on that show, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't checked out the pro yet, what are you doing? Time's running out for this year. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. If you did that, you can see what we're talking about on DJT and all this other fun, and also get your name in the hat for the final pro trading crate of the year. And Mr. Flowmaster, while you're hanging out on your vacation for the next 2 weeks, sipping the old eggnog and waiting to hit the trade button on the 15 billionth contract, if folks want to check out either the Mag 10 options or all the other cool stuff you have cooking in the land of Cboe, where should they go? What should they do?
Just head over to Cboe.com/RMA for our risk and market analytics, which includes data and platforms, things like Trade Alert and LiveVol and Silex, FT options. And Cboe.com in general has a lot of great resources, including a whole microsite on the Mag 10 index options and futures, which are out there, and everything else that we've recently launched as well. We got a lot of stuff on that just recently come to market, and things on the drawing board as well.
Crunch some numbers, listeners. See if you can race the Flowmaster to the 15 billionth contract. If you can get it before him, maybe he'll send you a fabulous prize. Just your luck, Mr. Flowmaster. It'll probably be some enormous block executed by a big desk, and you'll have to go find. So there you go. The first half of your block was the 15 billionth contract. Not quite as fun as if it's the proverbial grandma from Iowa. But there you go. Check them out. Cboe.com. You know where to go to learn more, listeners. And Mr. Uncle Mike, where should they go if they want some Uncle Mike goodness in their lives?
stcharleswealth.com if you'd like some Uncle Mike goodness, as you put it. Book an appointment with me. We'd love to have a conversation with any of our listeners. And then sorry about that. My tongue is tied. Stay tuned to my YouTube channel. More content will be coming in the new year. St. Charles Wealth Management. Just type that in the search box.
Our chat is hoping for you to get a little double or nothing question next week, Mr. Uncle Mike. So they hope it's wrist wrestling. So they're on your side, Mr. Uncle Mike. We'll see what happens on Monday out here, listeners. If I change the rules now, I got a feeling the Rock Lobster will be like, skullduggery. I can't win either way, listeners. We'll see who wins on the Monday show. But you know what? You folks win right now because we're coming back at you with all things TWIFO. Back after that immediately for all things Options Oddities. Then back after that for the Hot Options Report, back to back to back to back, because we like you folks. Then we're finally off. I can rest my voice. We're back again tomorrow. Dr. Vix and other special guests. Who's going to join us? Got to find out. Talk some vol, maybe a little smack as well. Then we're back again on Monday for another trivia battle, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Option Block is brought to you by Cboe. Cboe's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Cboe Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively Cboe. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the Cboe products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.